Hi, I'm Patrick, and today I'm at RE Plus. I'm joined by Bob from EcoG and Joel from Rittal, and we're going to talk about some really cool charging behind the scenes stuff. So let's get started. If you've watched some of our previous videos, you know that we've spoken with EcoG at CES, at ACT Expo. It's a busy year for them, so we're going to get an update. First of all, this has been a busy year. I know when we talked to you guys at CES, you had just opened or were just opening in the US. So any updates?
Yeah, we actually in May, we had our formal ribbon cutting ceremony in Detroit at the new lab, beautiful new lab building at Michigan Central. And we had the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, come down and do the ribbon cutting with us. And the Michigan Economic Development Corporation people were all there. So we had a very nice event. And we since have also taken space at the American Center for Mobility. It's a garage space for our testing, and we're bringing in some big equipment now with our customers. So we needed a good facility to be able to bring that into our testing, and they have the power there. It's a 500-acre autonomous driving proving ground that's now got a joint office investment to stand up a full-time interoperability lab. So we're in a perfect location to kind of do what we've been doing in Europe here and being part of the whole interoperability in the US.
And you mentioned Europe. This is something we've talked about. We're actually in the Germany pavilion here. At CES, you guys are in the Germany pavilion because that's the history of EcoG, is coming from Germany. But the big thing for us as consumers is learning how to do charging over there and doing it right. So there's demand for that expertise here in the US, I would imagine.
Yes, for sure. We have a couple things going. Ironically, it actually started in Detroit in Techstars in 2017, which I was their mentor, which ironically, it's come full circle. But yeah, because of all that history, we now have over 40 manufacturers that are using our technology and software and hardware, and over 30,000 chargers in the field and 67 different models in the field. So that kind of experience, bringing it now to the U.S. manufacturers and helping our European partners come to the U.S., I think is going to help us all. Like Rittal and on our new distributed architecture, it's starting to blossom in the U.S., I think.
Yeah, we talked briefly about that at ACT Expo, but that's why Joel's here. You guys are working with EcoG. You guys are providing the enclosures for the distributed charging architecture. So you want to tell us a little bit about it from your perspective of what you guys are offering, and then of course why you're working with EcoG.
For sure. As you know, the partnership started in Germany between EcoG and Rittal, and naturally because of the infrastructure demand here for energy charging stations, it makes sense that we would continue that partnership here in the U.S. And the beauty of EcoG and Rittal, that we can take EcoG's design, and then we can put it inside of one of our enclosures. We can provide the power distribution components, and then we can scale up as demand increases. So if like we're all anticipating, charging stations start to boom, we can scale up to about 600 enclosures a day from our manufacturing here in Urbana, Ohio. And if need be, we can pull in from obviously our headquarters, which can manufacture around 2,500 freestanding enclosures per day. So whatever the demand is in the future here in charging stations, between Rittal and EcoG, we can keep up with the infrastructure.
And I'm assuming that one of the attractive things about EcoG is making it easy to just get a jump start on.
Absolutely, they've engineered the solution. They've got their own software. All their customers need to do is just kind of just order what's on the blueprint, and they're off and running in the charging infrastructure industry. So
then with the partnership, you guys can take it one step further to somebody that actually wants to deploy charging stations. It's the complete package working together.
Yeah, I mean, the synergy is great. We need the partner ecosystem like we built up over in Europe, in the U.S., so that we can help our customers get into market faster. And so what we have between us now, and using the starter kit as an example, is the ability to show how we can help companies here scale it out, which is what we need from an infrastructure standpoint. And with the new distributed architecture, what we really think is that's going to be the future, because lower operating costs, lower CapEx costs, much more efficient use of the energy in general, and it'll get us density in the market, and that's what we're looking for.
So I've seen the design prototype, or the over at Rittal. So basically, what you're doing is separating the power from the actual dispenser, which gives flexibility to the people deploying them, but it also makes it sort of like a more elegant design for customers out, like me, that's driving up. It's like there's like a little small dispenser instead of this giant refrigerator size.
That you can't move the cable without some kind of mechanical mechanism. And the use of the dynamic nature of delivering the energy to these lower end dispensers, if you will. It's still across the DC bus. You're still getting DC fast charging, but it also, with all the different makes of different vehicles, if you pull up and you can only draw 60 kilowatts, then you get your 60 kilowatts and you're not taking up a 150 kilowatt charger while somebody's waiting, right? So the next one, somebody pulls up to it and they have 150 kilowatts, and they get their 150 kilowatts. So the dynamic use of the energy is also more efficient. And even when you come down in the charge cycle, after you get to 60, 70%, that energy is released back into the main power block for the next user. So fleets, parking lots, businesses, anywhere where you can see you got to have multiple, dispensers or ports, it's a great solution.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because even if there's like 8 stations or 8 stalls, like chances are you don't have like 8 cars in there all asking for like 200 kilowatts. It's sort of like one's asking for 40, one's asking for 200. So that's one of the genius things behind this, is like it can sort of balance the load based on the car.
That's right. So it's just a much more efficient distribution of, rather than have these standalones again that, you can't even draw off it or whatever, you're able to really put, a denser set of dispensers out there and use it efficiently.
And I would imagine there's also some flexibility, as in we can start small, and then if we want to add modules and add more power, we can do that.
And that's exactly it, because you can put one of these distributed cabinets. You don't need to put it right up front. You can put it in the back, and then you can run the powers right to the dispenser. So as you scale up and you require another bank of dispensers, you can just add another power block in the back, and it'll be seamless.
And I would imagine it helps maintenance and security wise as well, not having this big, huge block out in the middle of your parking lot that could get damaged. You got to protect it with bollards. You still got to protect the dispensers, but dispensers are not the expensive part.
So instead of maintaining individual standalones, now you're just maintaining power blocks, and you don't even have to interfere with consumers or with your customers going into the station, because the power block will be out in the back somewhere, out of view. So that's the beauty of quick maintenance for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you guys are talking about this. When might we, as a consumer, see these out there? And are there any partnerships or brands that are out there looking at them now? And here in the U.S., of course.
Yes. There's we have a lot of activity going on. We did show at the Power Drive conference in Germany that Dover is building a power block here in the U.S. And they're very near ready to launch. And so I'll have both the starter kit from Rittal in our facility in Romulus, Michigan, and one of those from Dover here in the next couple months. So we're preparing for some prototype sites ourselves. And then we're working with several other interested parties. Another reason we're here is to look for more partnerships. We would like to have we will have multiple power block dispenser manufacturers and multiple dispenser manufacturers. So site planners can then kind of pick and choose based on, and know it's all going to interoperate. So there's going to be lots of different implementation requirements. And once we build up this ecosystem of multiple players, then it's going to give more flexibility to those who have to implement.
So that interoperability and flexibility, it seems like something that we've talked to you at ACT Expo, we talked to you at CES. That's something that EcoG brings up over and over. But that's sort of like the mantra of the company is providing that interoperability and flexibility for people building charging stations from big to small, and providing the guts behind that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been to many shows now, and I hear the speeches where, people talk about the standards that have been written with a grin, because everybody implements standards in their own way potentially. And so there's a lot of turmoil because of interoperability. We're working with the manufacturer right now to potentially retrofit many chargers just because of the ongoing challenges with interoperability. And because we've kind of focused on that from the beginning, and we've had this ecosystem build up and we're continuing to build, we've worked with the OEMs very closely through this whole process. We feel that's one of our main opportunities is dependability, interoperability, sustainability from the point that we can do over there software updates so we can continuously take care of whatever needs to be supported.
Yeah, it's always interesting because you think like people are like, it's a CCS access point. I got a CCS car, therefore they're compatible. It's all going to work. But there's a lot of communication that's going on in the back end, and that doesn't even include all the payment stuff. But that's where you guys excel, is like putting it all together and making sure it works.
Yeah, and we even released our own dependability, reliability index in Europe. So we contracted to have basically a study done across both manufacturers and OEMs. Because to your point, you could pull up to a charger and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you think it's the charger, and it could be software from the OEM that's the problem.
Right.
So there's, it's a complicated environment, and they are adding new standards, but they've come out with like a new standard set of error codes. So anybody should be able to start to understand what's going on with the charger. So we're really involved with CharIN and trying to help that dependability side of it as well.
That's awesome, because I know we just make videos about our own experience, but we'll get people with questions all the time, and they're like, I went to this charging station and it failed. And it's like, I'm trying to diagnose, 2 days later via YouTube comments, but it literally is like, the charging stations aren't giving good info. The car isn't giving good info. All they know is they couldn't charge. But was it the charging station sensor bad? Was the car software needing updating? There's really no way to tell. And I think that's something that, like, hopefully the industry, gets to that point.
There's a lot of focus on it. So,
yeah.
And rightfully so. So we need to build confidence in the public.
And I keep touching on this every time we talk about it, because here in the US, we seem to have more reliability and interoperability issues. In Europe, if you guys all know, like there's only the CCS2 port. There isn't a Tesla port and a CCS1 port. It's like, it's all one port. There seems to be better interoperability over there. At least that's our perception. And I guess you could look at it as, one of two things is like, part of it is thanks to EcoG, or you guys learned from that, or, but I think it's probably both.
Yeah, I think there's a maturity over in that market that we are still learning. So what we saw in the last year is everybody understood that, and they finally said, all right, let's just use the Tesla standard. So everybody's moving towards the NAC standard. And, as those get finalized and the manufacturers are putting out the new plugs, and we all standardize, I think it'll start to help us along with some of these error code standardizations and things like that. So we're taking the maturity path now ourselves. But everybody comes out of the guns with that competitive nature, and it causes some challenges.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us. We have access now to the Tesla supercharger network, and I see like on your demo unit, you have like the Tesla connector, NACS adapter, J3400, whatever we're going to call it today. So it's really exciting to see you guys are already looking forward to like, going down that route. And I know it's just a plug, but it's more than just a plug.
It is. And we'll also see, again, in terms of maturity, it's going to take a little longer, but we're already doing V2G in Europe. And there's a lot of talk about it here in the US. There's a big conference in Michigan in October. But there's a lot of work to make that happen. But again, because of our European experience, we're kind of ahead of the game on that one. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic over the next 5 years, where we actually have all these batteries out there in cabinets and in cars, and being able to support the grid when it needs it. And it's going to be kind of a game changer. So it's great to have the European history experience that EcoG brings over here.
I know I'm looking forward to it. We have solar on our roof. We have a big battery in our garage. I want to be able to like have that battery provide backup, and we're not there yet.
I think that's going to be the first major use case is, in-house backup. That's where people are going to adopt it. That'll be an interesting and fairly simple use case, I think. But the utilities got to figure out business models, and let alone their own infrastructure around that. So.
Yeah, we're down in San Diego with San Diego Gas and Electric, and they're still trying to figure out how, like people like us that have solar, how it complicates things for them, because now they have a lot of extra generation, but they still have to maintain a distribution. So it's a complicated issue. And then the V2G stuff, once again, we're talking about protocols and interoperability, and not only how my car interprets putting power back into the grid, but how the grid interprets power being put back into the grid. So it's complicated.
There might be a couple cybersecurity issues around that too we have to worry about. But
yeah, we don't have time about that.
Yes, siphoning power.
Yeah, I heard California had to basically dump 1.4 million gigawatts of solar generated power last year because they just had too much of it. So they're pulling back on some of their household grants and things like that, just because, there's too much. So we're going through this transition period until some stabilization and everybody figures out how to use it most effectively. But you can see it coming.
That's very exciting. So we talked about V2G, we talked about the Powerblock. Any other exciting developments that you want to highlight about EcoG or just charging in general coming up?
Do you have anything on your side you want to put?
Yeah, well, we certainly are looking forward to the charging station infrastructure expansion across the U.S. I know this is an election year, but I know that's a continued hot topic politically. There's government funding available, so we're just expecting a huge spike in requirements. And the beauty of Rittal is that we're very flexible. We can, if EcoG needs to make some adjustments, if they want to. I heard that they're going to a higher density power block. And with that, you need more room. We're very flexible in expanding our modular system enclosure, and we can accommodate any type of expansion that may happen in the future. So we're really, really looking forward to the future charging station.
And that kind of brings up, so one of the things is we are seeing more and more opportunity around the Megawatt truck charging. So we're actually, I have a meeting later today with a company we've been talking to that is doing a lot of work in the charging infrastructure for the electric trucks. And we're already supporting that in Europe. And so we have an opportunity here now in the States to get involved with I think it's going to be a pretty fascinating and fast growing market. I know there's a lot of challenges in the rural long haul space and getting power generation. But really, I think the majority use cases are going to be in more of a, within a perimeter of the use of some of these trucks, and they need charging, and we have the capabilities to provide that. So I'm excited about that one because it's a U.S. driven one right now.
Yeah.
So I want it to happen.
To me, it's always exciting because like people are talking about fleets and these big long haul trucks, and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of long haul trucking, but I see so many like delivery trucks in my neighborhood, in my local area, and I'm like, and I see the driver hopping in and out and cranking that engine, and I see such an opportunity, which I know on the back end, there needs to be the charging infrastructure that's available, but such a great opportunity there.
Oh, it'll expand from delivery trucks to school buses to public transit. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And as they come up with new designs for higher power requirements, again, our system is totally expandable. It's totally modular. And then we can continue to pack more and more power packs into our standard portfolio.
Well, it sounds really exciting. Sounds like you both are ready for the future and sort of listening to customer demands as well, like what direction, where the needs are at, and you guys are ready to meet it. So that's I'm sure exciting for the business customers, and in the end, exciting for us as the consumers to be able to just have charging and have our delivery trucks being electric and have our school buses being electric. So I'm really excited.
So yeah, we think we'll see this through this new infrastructure, really a much better density out there that's going to give the consumer a better comfort level. They'll know they're not worried about charges. They can get fast charging quick, and the deployers will have a great operationally effective solution to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. Hopefully you have a great RE Plus, and then we'll see you at the next expo when there hopefully be even more news.
It's good.
All right. Thank you
So much.
Thank you. If you want more information about EcoG or Rittal, check the description. We'll have links for both companies down below. Plus, we'll have links to the video interviews that we did previously with EcoG. Of course, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. And just remember, whatever you drive, whether or not it is powered by a Powerblock by Rittal or EcoG or not, enjoy the ride.